Hi, it's Danny Griffin with this week's Monday Mojo. The quote, "Don't give up, don't ever give up." That comes from Jimmy Valvano, who died in 1993. He was the inspirational head coach of the NCAA champs, North Carolina State. That was actually part of his 1993 ESPY Award speech, which he gave just 8 weeks before he died of cancer. What happens when you get exasperated? And I mean really frustrated and exhausted at the same time. Those moments when you feel that you've put in your best effort but ended up with nothing. What happens then? Do you call yourself useless? Is everything you once thought important rendered meaningless? Do you wonder whether your whole entire life has been an exercise in futility? That maybe the world would even be better off without you, because you haven't even contributed or you feel like you haven't made a dent. Now, does this spiraling vortex sweep you up into a state of depression where everything seems hopeless? Well, this past week I had the pleasure of visiting New York City for a real estate conference, but it was just days before September 11th, a very significant day of remembrance not only there, but also the rest of the world. I had an obligation to lead a coaching call and charted a course to go in a deeper direction and try to root out some of the thoughts and pains that our group was struggling with. Maybe I was just inspired by where I was at the time. Now, the call morphed into an amazing exercise in humility as many people began to bare their souls. The tone was set by a friend of mine who has emerged as a thought leader with a real keen desire to warn his fellow members of the pitfalls that have stricken his business. And now, at this point, he stands pretty tall in that effort to let others know that to err is to be human. And until you can admit that we're all just a bunch of average Joes and Janes, you'll forever be stuck putting on a false face of pride and pretending that all is always well. But then something even more amazing happened after that. The line became filled with other callers who wanted to go even deeper. One member showed unbelievable fortitude as he talked about how he began to question everything when a few small business issues went off track. Why had he allowed himself to be led astray? Why had his spending gone awry? What was the meaning of all of this, and why did it even matter? What was the worth of his entire existence is even what he questioned. Then the line was turned over to another member who just experienced his own brother's suicide. He was angry about it and had been seeking help to sort through all of the thoughts that now he even struggled with. But even more painful, his family had said that if they had ever expected anyone to consummate that type of act, it would have been him and not his brother. What? Why? I bet you've found yourself at some low point or certainly known somebody who has completed the same act to end their suffering. So we must put it on the table right now and confront it. No more beating around the bush, because this thing is beatable, by the way. We have thinking tools at our disposal every day that can protect us, so let's just organize them. First of all, we have to begin to identify inaccurate thinking. It's the stumbling block of the world. Why do we think what we do? Is it because somebody told us how to think? Are we behaving a certain way because we want to please those who have taught us? Think about how crazy inaccurate that is. If my father and mother told me I should be an engineer tomorrow morning, would I compromise everything I feel in my heart? Would I shut off my passion to teach, to interpret, to write? How would I feel locked in a lab crunching numbers and creating algorithms? I'll tell you, I'd feel like a prisoner. I'd feel broken and compromised. Forced to be somebody else. I'd be living a breathing death. Put yourself through the same analysis. Are you living somebody else's image of you? Do you go through the motions every day because you're scared to live your dreams? Why do we even wonder why the use of drugs and alcohol have proliferated so much? I mean, once compromised, we need to kill the pain with something, or how could we make it through an entire day? Then bang! Eventually, we get so exasperated, we want at the escape hatch. If we could only stop the pain and end it all. But there's the exact spot where we don't have to go that haywire. Why can't we just stop the madness of pretending? I mean, are you really for 1 second going to believe that causing your own death is easier than freeing yourself? What if on the other side of mental freedom, your holy grail awaits? What if you just move in another direction and open a new door and everything you thought could be is real? You can define your world. You're not a prisoner after all. Who cares what anybody says about choices? You're free. I was reminded of this brilliant freedom in my country as I spoke to a group of immigrants who had arrived here very recently. I could see the hunger in their eyes. They wanted at it, and some of them had already taken their piece. 2 of them in particular had come to this country with nothing, not even a stitch of the native tongue, but have already carved themselves off a wonderful slice of success. But more importantly, when I look in their eyes, I see freedom. There is no obvious heavy burden. They appreciate what they have and yearn for more. Their sails are filled with the wind of desire. So if they could change their lives on a dime, why can't any of you? So what if you spent the majority of your life trying to please somebody else's dreams for you and it turned out to be a flop? You should simply embrace that as evidence that perhaps that path is not for you. Don't dare play the silly fool and stay committed to an absurd belief system that turns out to be erroneous or not right for you. Just move on. In these times, it's critical to reinvent yourself many times over to keep pace, and it's okay. If you search the history of the Okinawans, some of the longest living people in the world, you'll find they have enjoyed 3 to 4 different pathways in a lifetime. So remember to never give in to inaccurate thinking and fall through the trap door, because you always have hope. This is Danny Griffin with another Monday Mojo featured by freethinkingtools.com, reminding you to think, live, and thrive. We'll see you next time here. And remember, if you want to share this with somebody, please go ahead. You have my permission to embed it on your blogs. Just make sure you mention us at freethinkingtools.com and you refer some people back so we can help a lot more people than just a few of us. None of us is bigger than the rest of us. See you next time. I'm Danny Griffin.